over to our next album, which is broke them so far into the mainstream, and Enter Sandman is not really overplayed, but we'll talk about it. The Black Album from 1991. Kyle, talk to me. What do you love about this album?
Everything about this album is perfect. This is actually one of my top 5 albums of all time.
Damn.
It's
Wow.
very nostalgic for me. I used to listen to this. I remember as a kid, in my dad's car, he had the CD, which I still have it right over there. Listen to it all the time, every song on it. Even as a kid, I'm talking like elementary school. One of the first artists, one of the first albums I ever really liked as a kid. And every song, man, talk about like an album full of hits. Every single song, there's not a bad song on this album. The weakest song on this album is better than most bands' best songs. The production quality of this, Bob Rock, absolutely incredible, untouchable in terms of metal production in my eyes. Peak Metallica, absolutely peak Metallica.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, my overall impression, I love the record as well. It is. I'm gonna say go so far as say it's a sexy album. It's fantastic, dude. I love this record too. Not as much as Justice for All, of course, because I put that number one. But I do love this record quite a bit. And it's funny, you're the person who actually recommended it to me to say, oh, just listen to it from start to finish. Because I only had heard like Enter Sandman, The Unforgiven, the singles that were released. And I was like, oh, wait. And I went back after you told me to listen to it from start to finish because the quality of it. And I was like, all right, well, let me see what I can do. And sure enough, I was like, holy crap, this is a great record. This is fantastic.
It's such a good album. It groove, like the groove to the album is so like flawless. It's amazing. Whatever they hit making this album, it's gold. And people can say all they want. Oh, they sold out. They sold out. No, they didn't. It's a great album. It's still a metal album. This is not where they hit their hard rock phase yet. As much as people try to say it is, it's not. People are just upset that their favorite metal band got mainstream famous. It's a great album.
It is.
And
I mean, it's super commercial too.
Yeah. I mean, the rumor is, and I don't know how much truth there is to it. He's never really given a full answer, but Jason Newsted, the rumor is that he still is able to live off of the royalties from this album to this day because it still sells that well. And honestly, I don't doubt it.
Funny.
The album still pops up in the charts every so often because it still sells like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at we're on Wikipedia for this. It's 16 times platinum in the United States.
That's insane.
That's crazy. And they did a whole and they did a whole tour of it as well. Yep. Back in they did a whole like reverse album and they did live recently too, if I'm not mistaken as well. But honestly, it is fantastic. It's a fantastic record. Let's get into the track listing, shall we? Enter Sandman. I love saying that name. And anyways, Sad But True. Holier Than Thou. Is that what it is? Holier?
Yes.
Okay. Because I thought it was Hoilier for some reason. Anyways, Holier Than Thou. The Unforgiven. Wherever I may roam, don't tread on me. Through the Never. Nothing else matters. Of Wolf and Man. The God That Failed. My Friend of Misery. And the Struggle Within. I'm letting you go first.
All right. So this album, I will say, is when I think James Hetfield really came into his own fully as a vocalist. His vocals on this album, I think, is when he truly perfected his singing voice. And I think that's shown that it's pretty much from here on out the same kind of vocal stylings, and it works for him. It works great. It's really the first time he kind of there's like on Fade to Black, but he doesn't like sing very often until this album. Like there's a lot of like the metal vocals and stuff. I think even Dave Mustaine said about the Unforgiven years later. He's like, "Oh, that was the first time I actually heard James truly sing," and he's not wrong. But I will say my top three, which is like trying to pick a favorite child. Like picking a top three from this album is incredibly hard, but I had to give it to Sad But True, The Unforgiven, and Don't Tread on Me. I know a lot of people have problems with Don't Tread on Me for whatever reason. I think it's a great, like, pumped up song. It's awesome. But I had to, it's very close. The God That Failed is a very close fourth. Love that song. What I really appreciate about this album, too, is that if you look at these songs, none of them are like crazy long, which, Metallica long songs are always great. But on here, they were like, we don't need to make the songs that long. We have a great song here. We're just going to cap it at that. And it works for every song. I can't even pick if there's a better half on here because every song is just so good.
Well, we're in the same boat on here, not specifically with the songs, but I do agree with you by saying like it's hard to pick like a top five. I mean, I'm gonna just echo some of my favorites. I mean, I understand that. I mean, who doesn't love and know that. Sad but true. I'm gonna say that. If we take Enter Sandman out of it though, because it's still a classic song and whatnot. But I'm gonna say Sad but True. I'm gonna say Wherever I May Roam. I'm gonna say Don't Tread on Me as well. Actually, now that I think about it, like I didn't. The more I think about it, like that's just a great song. I'm gonna give it honorable mention to Nothing Else Matters because I don't know if you knew this. Metallica was on Howard Stern back in, I think it was when they were promoting the reissue of the Black Album, the 30th anniversary thing last year in 2021, and they had I don't know if you saw this or not, but Elton John was on, and he said that Nothing Else Matters. You're nodding your head. Yep. Nothing Else Matters was one of the best songs ever written in general, and that's Elton John saying that. That's pretty crazy.
I remember that made James Hetfield tear up, which I don't blame him. I believe Elton John even did a cover of it with Miley Cyrus for the reissue of it. It was pretty good. I'm not a big Miley fan. Kind of wish it was just Elton John and having Elton John's vocals on. I think that would have been amazing. But Nothing Else Matters is really their first ballad. It's something that they would do in other, and The Unforgiven too, but this is really when they first started we can make a ballad. We don't just have to be the aggressive metal band. If we want to write a song like this, we're going to do it, and they showed that they can do it very well. And the intro of Nothing Else Matters is so simplistic. Like there's nothing crazy going on. It's just simplistic. And pretty much the whole song is pretty simplistic. But that intro, it's an iconic intro, and it's really just open guitar notes. It's just 4 open strings.
I mean, there's a lot going through my mind right now, but I gotta agree with you. I mean, Nothing Else Matters is one of those tracks. Like once you hear it, you know exactly who sings it, the band, everything about it, and it's. Truthfully, it's one of their most popular. I think it's their second most popular song on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Enter Sandman. I just give a shout out to Enter Sandman for a sec. Enter Sandman has 800 and I think 880 million streams on Spotify. A hardcore like heavy metal song, and it's close to 1 billion streams. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, it still gets played at sporting events, all the time. It gets played everywhere. It's a massive song, and for good reason. I think that's a perfect album opener and perfect introduction to like this era of the band.
I mean, I completely agree. I love it. I mean, Sad but True like there's not a bad song on this record. I completely agree with you on that. And there are some incredible songs on here that are once again timeless. And I got to tell you, like if I'm not mistaken, before Spotify made the stupid decision of taking the notes off of the songs, like, this, I'm like, come on, put them back on. But anyways, because one of the things they said was that this debuted at number 1 on the Billboard. There was his first number 1 on the Billboard 200, their first album, and it stayed there for 4, I think, consecutive weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Like a whole month, it was the number 1 album in the country.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about that was, I think Megadeth's Symphony for Destruction album came out around the same time, and they ended up, I believe, being number 2, being beat out by this album, if I'm remembering correctly. So that, what a slap in the face to Megadeth.
Yeah, like, take that, Dave Mustaine. Take that. He's like laughing at him. Anyways,
Poor guy.
But the question is, I know the poor guy. The question is though, where does this rank as your Metallica? I think I know what it is, but I'm
number 1.
Where does this rank amongst your Metallica albums?
Number 1, easily.
I knew it.
Number 1. It's easily a top 5 album of all time for me. I might even put it number 4 of all time. What about
big words? Well, listen, I'm not going to disappoint you because I said Injustice for All is my number 1, and that may have shocked you. This is my number 2, if that makes you happy.
All right.
It's my number 12. It's the worst album ever made.
Hey, there's some people that will say that.
It's so overrated. It's so commercial. Whatever. It's a great album. It's my number 2.
That's something I never understood about people when they say, "Oh, it's too commercial." They went commercial. Who cares? The music's good. Who cares? Who cares if everyone is a fan of the band? Wouldn't you want one of your favorite bands to be successful so they can make a living and keep making music? I don't get it. I don't understand people's logic. This album was not a sellout album, and even if it was, it's a good thing and it's great.
You and I are on the same page on this. It is a brilliant record, and overall, it stands the test of time as well. Metallica, love to see it.